On the morning of September 11, 2001, the United States of America was attacked by Islamic terrorists. 3 out of 4 hijacked airplanes were used as missiles against targets in the United States. The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City were completely destroyed. The Pentagon in Northern Virginia was also attacked and damaged. A 4th hijacked airplane crashed in rural Pennsylvania before it could hit a potential target in Washington, D.C. Nearly 3,000 innocent people were murdered that day. This is a record of how those events unfolded on live television.
Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and it's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001.
Well, it's primary election day in some cities and states. In New York City, 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans want Rudy Giuliani's job as mayor. Giuliani has served his 2 terms, the limit in New York.
For the second time in 2 weeks, the U.S. has lost an unmanned spy plane over Iraq. Iraq claims it shot down the remote-controlled Predator aircraft near Basra in the southern no-fly zone.
Israeli troops have surrounded the West Bank town of Jenin. Witnesses say they started shelling and 7 Palestinians were hurt in a firefight.
Former presidential candidate Elizabeth Dole is ready to hit the campaign trail in North Carolina. Dole is expected to announce today that she's running for Jesse Helms' Senate seat.
But I can tell you what's the news down here in Washington, and it is Michael Jordan, probably the news all over the nation. He's given the biggest hint so far that he may return to the NBA as a player this season.
And I'm David Haffenreffer. It is lunchtime in London, 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, and 8 a.m. here in New York. Live from the CNN Financial News headquarters, you're watching Before Hours.
Jim, just a few moments ago, something believed to be a plane crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. I just saw flames inside. You can see the smoke coming out of the tower. We have no idea what it was. It was a tremendous boom just a few moments ago. You can hear around me emergency vehicles heading towards the scene. Now, this could have been an aircraft, or it could have been something internal. It appears to be something coming from the outside due to the nature of the opening on about the 100th floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there on the south end of the island of Manhattan.
Live from the CBS 2 Information Network, this is Breaking News.
Good morning, Michael Pomeranz along with Lisa Hill. Some breaking news to report. You're looking at a live picture of the World Trade Center where we have just received word that a plane apparently has crashed into the tower, one of the 2 towers. At this point, we don't have further information regarding the type of plane, the extent of injuries.
Right.
Obviously, it looks quite severe.
We're not sure if that's building number 1 or 2, but obviously a lot of black smoke. We don't know what size plane that was, whether it was a Cessna, a Piper, or even larger.
This is a live picture from our camera on the Empire State Building looking toward the World Trade Center. A 3-alarm fire and a report of an explosion somewhere in the World Trade Center. You can see the plume of smoke from the top of one of the World Trade Center towers. And this has just come into us, word of this incident at the World Trade Center. The fire department responding with a large number of crews to the World Trade Center. I don't have a lot more detail on this than that at the moment, but you can see obviously there's a lot of smoke there, and at that height of the World Trade Center, obviously a very difficult fire to fight.
This is a special report from News Channel 4.
Good morning, everybody. I am Jane Hansen in the News Channel 4 studio this morning to bring you some news. We are looking at a picture now of the World Trade Center, and we have an eyewitness on the telephone who tells us that he has seen an airplane crash into the World Trade Center. His name is Tony Arrigo. He is on East 12th Street. Tony, can you please tell us what you witnessed?
Yes, I can tell you what happened. I was taking the garbage out of the building when we heard this roaring engines coming. We looked up and there was a plane. Next thing you know, we heard boom. We ran up to the corner and hit right into the World Trade Center.
Tony, can you tell us what kind of an airplane is it?
It had to be a 737. It had to hit the World Trade Center. It was a big, big plane.
Welcome back to Fox News. We have a very tragic alert for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center here at the lower tip of Manhattan.
It's believed a 737 has crashed into. There's speculation at this point, but at least 3 floors taken out, crashed into the side of the building. Joining us right now, one of the producers with Fox Report, Owen Mugen, on the scene. Owen, what do you know? What do you see? Where are you?
Yeah, Brian, I'm on the roof of my building, which is about 5 blocks to the south of the World Trade Center. I'm looking right now at the World Trade Center. There's a massive gaping hole on the second tower. It's about 15 stories from the roof. It's just unbelievable to look at.
WCBS News Time 8:48 is traffic and weather together, sponsored by Henry Miller's Theater. Tom Kaminsky, Chopper 880.
All right, Pat, we are just currently getting a look at the World Trade Center. We have something that has happened here at the World Trade Center. We noticed flame and an awful lot of smoke from one of the towers of the World Trade Center. We are just coming up on this scene. This is easily 3/4 of the way up. Whatever has occurred has just occurred within minutes, and we are trying to determine exactly what that is, but currently we have a lot of smoke at the top of the towers of the World Trade Center. We will keep you posted.
I just witnessed a plane that appeared to be cruising slightly lower than normal altitude over New York City, and it appears to have crashed into, I don't know which tower it is, but it hit directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Sean, what kind of plane? Was it a small plane, a jet?
It was a jet. Looked like a 2-engine jet, maybe a 737.
You're talking about a large passenger commercial jet?
Large passenger commercial jet.
And where were you when you saw this?
I am on the 21st floor of 5 Penn Plaza.
Did it appear that the plane was having any difficulty flying?
Yes, it did.
What do you see at this point?
Oh, smoke and screaming and, screaming engines, and all the fire engines and police departments are all traveling down that way. Oh, my God almighty, the black smoke all over the place. I hope there's got to be somebody killed in it and poor people that went to work.
Well, Tony, we don't have any confirmation from any officials of this happening. Just repeat again, you were just going outside.
I was bringing the garbage out to the freight entrance when we heard this roaring engine. We looked up and there was the plane. Next thing we know, in a matter of seconds, we heard a boom. We went to the corner, and there it was, right in the middle of the World Trade Center.
This has been an ABC 7 Eyewitness News special report.
Good evening, everyone, or good morning, actually. We have breaking news, this out of downtown Manhattan. A plane has allegedly crashed into the World Trade Center. You're looking at live pictures right now from News Chopper 7. A plane has crashed into the side of the World Trade Center. Details at this hour, very sketchy. At 8:51, that is the time right now, just a few moments ago, allegedly a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't have any reports of what type of plane, what perhaps the carrier was. How many injuries are there right now?
I'm on West Street, right out of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and I heard an enormous explosion. Then I heard another enormous explosion. It scared me. I looked out the window, and an enormous tire, what appeared to be a tire, smashed down on the street in front of me. And I looked out, and there was an enormous amount of debris, and we were about 2 or 3 or 4 blocks down from the World Trade Center. And it was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Sir, did you see what happened?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw something like bomb, and
Did you see anything hit the building, or did it come from the building?
that's the bomb. I think so. That's the
Something
bomb.
hit the building?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, we got some other people. They're all rushing away from the site. That was
Don't
just,
blame him,
the
especially
thing to
that
do.
fellow with a little girl in his arms.
Did you see what happened, sir? Did you see what happened? What happened?
Well, I was in the past train, and there was a huge explosion sound. Everyone came out. A large section of the building is blown out, around like the 80th floor.
Was it hit by something, or was it something
inside?
It was inside.
Because it looked out. Everything was coming out.
Everything
all
was
the
coming-
windows were coming out. All the papers were
What is
coming
on
out.
the sidewalk?
I didn't see anything.
Was there any people hurt, do you know?
I just ran, and everyone in the past train just ran. I don't know if anyone was hurt, but I assume they were because the windows were all blown out.
All right, thank you.
He was absolutely the most amazing man that America has ever created, ever.
Okay, I have got to interrupt you right now.
Sorry.
Richard Hack, thank you very much. We appreciate the book is called Hughes. We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center, where I understand, do we have it? No, we do not. We have a breaking story, though. We're going to come back with that in just a moment. First, this is Today on NBC.
Hello?
Things are heating up.
Now, by the entire ABC network. Good Morning America was in progress in the East Coast and the Midwest, but we're joined by the entire network just to show you some pictures at the foot of New York City. This is at the World Trade Center. Obviously, a major fire there, and there has been some sort of explosion. We don't fully know the details. There is one report, as of yet unconfirmed, that a plane has hit the World Trade Center, and you can see that there is smoke there coming out of at least 2 sides of the building.
And as you said, there are 2 towers, the tallest structures in Manhattan, on the island of Manhattan. We're trying to get people on the telephone to see what more we can learn. We have no idea if it was a plane. Was it in any sense deliberate? Was it an accident? It does seem to be that there is considerable and truly terrifying damage on some of those floors at the top.
Comes out there with the jersey ready to go, the big giant sweatsuit, cooking eggs in the morning,
He's
steaks
a mental
in the evening.
patient.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's my father, though.
Good morning, I'm Chris Chansing here with Greg Jarrett, and there is a major incident in Lower Manhattan in the World Trade Center, which is in the Wall Street area of New York City. You are looking at live pictures. Apparently, a plane has crashed into one of the upper floors of the World Trade Center. Now, according to eyewitnesses, it appeared that the plane, and we don't know exactly what that plane is, was having some difficulty. It was being described by witnesses as listing back and forth from wingtip to wingtip, and it is difficult to tell from this perspective, but we are being told that the plane may be embedded in that upper floor of the World Trade Center.
As Matt just mentioned, we have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City. It happened just a few moments ago, apparently. We have very little information available at this point in time, but on the phone, we do have Jennifer Oberstein, who apparently witnessed this event. Jennifer, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, can you please tell me what you saw and to give me any information about what's going on there?
Yes, I have to tell you, it's quite terrifying. I'm in shock right now. I came out of the subway at Bowling Green. I was heading to work in Battery Park at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and I come out, and I heard a boom, looked up, and there was a big ball of fire. I'm now looking north at the World Trade Center, and it is the left twin tower if I'm looking north. I'm in Battery Park right now, and you can hear the fire engines and the emergency crews behind me, and it is unbelievable. When the fire first burst, it was a... Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
In air like I've never seen before, and As you know, I used to work in news. I've never seen any fire like this in the air, and the pieces of the building were flying down. It looks like it's like the top, I can't even tell you, maybe 20 floors. Intense smoke. It's horrible. I can't even describe it.
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We don't know if it was a private aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now.
I'm just getting word from our assignment desk that we have information that a plane has crashed into the side of the World Trade Center, and I do not know any more about what type of airplane it is or how this happened. George Shea, again, a witness who's been in the area and heard this explosion. George, would that be consistent with what you heard?
It would only be speculation, but it would explain why a wheel crashed on West Street about 15 or 20 feet from the car that I was in. If that's true, it would appear that the wheel was thrown about 4 blocks south, and it's from my position, I can see on the south and west side of the building that there appears to be damage.
Do you have any idea what kind of plane it was?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any idea what hit the World Trade Center?
What it was?
Yeah, what kind of plane? We're getting reports that an airplane hit the building.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Honestly, I was walking up and it looked up and saw a big boom and fire. You know, I got to tell you, we were all saying around here that it was very interesting that it would be a bomb and it would be so high up. So perhaps it was a plane. We have no talk of a plane. However, I have to tell you, there are still things flying in the air. I mean, it's mind-boggling, and it's horrifying.
Can you tell us about the scene down there right now?
Right now, people are just on the street looking at the building. The building, there's just a lot of smoke. It's not too crazy down where I am.
How far away from the World Trade Center specifically are you?
I'm actually on Thompson Street North. I'm not too far.
I'm still on a ferry now, and I can see it. Smoke is coming out of both sides, so whatever went into it, it looks like it just went right through it. It's really bad. A lot of people. I just heard somebody say that they thought it was a 737 that went through the building.
Taking a look right now, if we could, just from the Associated Press, they're coming across with bulletins now confirming that it was a plane that has crashed into the World Trade Center. Again, this is according to the Associated Press as we gather our own people down there at the scene, taking a look at what's going on in front of you. You're seeing it, folks, for the very first time, as are we. A reminder that what we're able to see from our fixed-mounted cameras at points all across the city are just what you're seeing right there.
You are looking at the north building of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan. These are coming to you live now. Debris raining down from 110 floors up, the uppermost floor, 110 floors up. Something like this has happened before. Back in World War II, an Army bomber lost in the fog slammed into the upper floors of the Empire State Building. The crew of that plane was killed, but that was an accident. It happened in fog. As you can see, this is a clear blue sky day in Manhattan. If this was an accident, it would be a needle in a haystack kind of accident.
The timing of this is important. It comes before 9 o'clock. Perhaps, and we say that in hopeful fashion, perhaps not everybody was at work, because if that building was in fact crowded with workers, we're looking at probably some casualties and injuries of considerable proportions, but right now there's no way of telling that.
I am on the 33rd floor of Mercer Street, and we felt the plane fly right over us, and then I thought it looked like it was going to go right in the World Trade Center, and then it was going to veer off, but it slammed directly into it.
Joining us now on the line is an eyewitness who is in the Empire State Building.
I saw this plane. It didn't look like it was out of control at all. This plane headed directly for the building.
It seemed as though it just flew right into the building without...
Yeah, like he wanted to fly into the building.
He wasn't trying to avoid the building.
No, this guy swooped directly into the building.
The airplane did not appear to be in trouble to you.
I don't know enough about airplanes to know what it should look like, but it wasn't nose down, or it wasn't swerving up and down or left and right. It was making a straight, steady decline towards the World Trade Center.
Mary, I'm hearing what sounds to be an awful lot of people that are either crying or sobbing or something in the background.
That's my baby wondering why I'm still standing here. But there are a lot of us who are shaking or with tears coming down our faces, because it's mind-boggling to think about how many people are up there who, aren't anymore.
I'm at 99 Hudson Street. I was standing outside, actually, at the side of the building smoking a cigarette. And I hear a plane, and I don't usually see planes in this area. Then all of a sudden I saw it go right into the World Trade Center, to the building.
So
right
you saw a plane crash into the side of the World Trade Center?
Yes, sir.
I'm over here in the South Bronx, and I was up on the roof, and the plane came right over my roof. And it was up at a pretty good height, like it was a normal flight. And I kind of thought to myself, oh, it's probably going to JFK, because we could see them landing at LaGuardia. It came over. It was a small passenger plane, like about maybe 50 people could fit in it.
Okay.
A small one, and definitely not a Cessna. And it just kept on going. And the first thing I thought of is it's like a drunk driver. It just kept on going and realized what was going on and tried to turn to the left. And
Wow.
it didn't make it. It went right into the World Trade Center.
What does your experience tell you may have entered into what you're looking at here with such clear skies?
Well, possibly some form of engine failure or control failure.
Do you ever see any type of air traffic in and around your area that...
Well, routinely, this is a routine pattern to come into LaGuardia, to fly south over Manhattan and then out over the bay and then up towards LaGuardia. So this is a routine pattern, but they're never supposed to be that low. And I would find it hard to believe that it was a navigation failure in these clear skies.
We can see thick black smoke indicating the fire is still going on right now in the World Trade Center. For as far as the eye can see, and you can tell right here at the top of this tower, there's a huge gaping hole, flames still inside, thick black smoke still coming out. We have not been able to see what, if any kind of an aircraft is inside the building. This is the best vantage point right here, and as you can see, just a huge gaping hole throughout the entire side of this tower right now.
In your view, this could have been an accident. We're not necessarily talking about a deliberate act here.
I wouldn't think so immediately at all. You've got to find out why he crashed, and obviously, if it's a deliberate terrorist act, then there'll be a message probably from somebody taking credit for it.
I am in Chelsea, and we are at 8th and 16th. We are the tallest building in the area, and my window faces south, so it looks directly onto the World Trade Center. And I would say, approximately 10 minutes ago, there was a major explosion from probably, it looks like about the 80th floor. It looks like it's affected probably 4 to 8 floors. Major flames are coming out of the north side and also the east side of the building, yes. And it was very loud explosion followed by flames, and it looks like the building is still on fire on the inside.
It appears that there is more and more fire and smoke enveloping the very top of the building. And as fire crews are descending on this area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
Yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
Did you hear the explosion from
yes.
your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window. I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit. Right, oh my God, another plane has just hit, it hit another building, flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower.
Yes, yes, right in the middle of the building. And right now, yes, that was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
As you look at the picture from our chopper now arriving at the scene, Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness,
oh God,
there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness,
Another plane?
Now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine at this juncture.
We'll try to get a better vantage point and see what we can see on the ground. It's a little difficult from the air because the buildings kind of shadow the streets, but no doubt a lot of activity on the ground right now.
And in terms of the firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, fight it from inside. If you're taking a look now, you can see that we've just had another explosion, and that is considerably lower. And is that in the other building? Is that what I'm witnessing?
That apparently does look like it is in the other building at this point.
No report of any casualties. Without jumping to too many conclusions, looking at the extent of this damage and knowing how well populated that building is, there's another explosion down to the left side on the second World Trade Center tower. You see that huge ball of fire that just went up there. I know it's quite a distant shot, but that looked to me to be happening at number 2 World Trade Center, at the second World Trade Center tower, and it is at some distance there, but this is now a dramatic development on the second World Trade Center tower, and I can't imagine that there would not be a serious evacuation and a full mobilization now, emergency command center and so forth, as the fire department moves as much equipment as possible to the World Trade Center.
A lot of uncertainty right now as to what is happening. You can see there are choppers. I believe that could be a police helicopter that is... Oh!
Wow.
We just saw...
Oh my goodness. You were looking at another live picture right now. Oh my goodness.
Of what I believe was a plane that just hit
another plane. This
Tower
does not
2.
look like an accident of any kind at this point. Another plane has hit Tower 2, the Twin Towers. You hate to say the words, but what comes to mind right now, terrorist attack. That is what it looks like at this point. This is something that you've seen on live television just unfolding. Haven't seen anything like this ever before develop on live television in New York.
Again, your estimation, what type of plane did
either
you
an
report
Airbus A320 style or a Boeing 737.
Okay.
Where do you get your knowledge from? How much time do you have in a pilot?
Oh, it was another.
Oh no. Okay.
Explosion.
Explosions, multiple explosions, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw another explosion. Obviously.
We're just watching it again. It's the first time. This is
the other tower, ladies and gentlemen. Another explosion at tower number 2 of the World Trade Center just happened live on our air.
The first that we had heard, the impact only affecting Tower 1, but as our producers and reporting staff in the field is telling us, and you can see now to the left of your screen, there is fire in the second
lower the
tower.
Camera just a little bit. You can see right at the bottom of the TV screen, billowing smoke from a bomb or explosion. We do not know if it's a bomb. I'm speaking out of turn here. A second explosion that just happened. The first we understand was from an airplane. The second we have no idea.
No idea at all at this point what has triggered it. If we could take maybe a wider shot to give us just a different vantage point, just to try to gain a little bit of perspective. And there you can see the situation.
Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen.
The 2 towers are home, at least during the day, to upwards of 50,000 workers. I am reminded of a couple of things that happened recently, Dr. Gross. Not long ago, within the last couple of weeks, in fact, there was a pilot who flew. There was another one. We just saw We just saw another one. We just saw another one apparently go. Another plane just flew into the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks.
Well, that would begin to say that, yeah.
We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jean Cochran. Two planes crashed into the twin towers of the World Trade Center in New York this morning, about 20 to 30 minutes apart. Black smoke has been pouring out of huge holes in the upper portions of the building.
Oh my word! Oh my word! I'm sorry I screamed. That's on purpose, Alfred. Somebody's doing this on purpose. Oh my goodness.
The first plane crashed into the North Tower of the Trade Center at around 8:50 this morning. Witnesses said this first plane looked like a commercial jetliner. Shortly afterward, another plane hit the other tower, causing another massive explosion. That was apparently a smaller plane. Debris from the explosions rained down onto neighboring streets just as many people were heading to work. There's no word on whether the crashes might have been some sort of act of terrorism, but the FBI is investigating that possibility.
Oh my God.
My goodness. A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center. Obviously, suicide, terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. What we have been fearing.
Chopper 5. Anybody on?
What we have been fearing for the longest time here apparently has come to pass. A disastrous terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. Both towers, planes smashing into each one.
I've never seen any. It looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet, go immediately headed directly into the World Trade Center. It just flew into it, into the other tower, coming from south to north. I watched the plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
This is so shocking, of course, to everybody watching.
I've never seen anything like it. It literally flew itself into World Trade Center.
John, what we just saw, though, obviously, if that indeed was a second aircraft that hit the southern tower of the World Trade Center, that obviously raises the specter of an intentional terrorist attack here, if that is indeed what we are looking at.
Both towers appear to be structurally sound, and not only small pieces of debris are circulating in the air around where the explosions occurred. The buildings themselves seem to be intact.
I am reminded again of what happened back in 1989. The intent of those terrorists back then was to actually bring down the tower, wasn't it?
Yes, and I would obviously think if anyone is in there, they've got to get out immediately, I would imagine.
Questions immediately arise as to some type of navigational material or electronics that perhaps went awry that would cause two planes within 18 minutes.
This is war. There's no question about it. These are deliberate attacks.
Well, let's certainly not go there.
It was unbelievable seeing this second jet come crashing into the second tower. What is going on?
And you then saw the plane go into the building, and I assume you saw the resulting...
You better believe it. I saw an explosion like I have never seen, and all I can say is those people, I don't know, but they're all definitely disintegrated. It was the most awful thing I've ever seen. It was so sad. I was like a nervous wreck.
That's absolutely inexplicable. There shouldn't be any aircraft in that area, much less something heading what looked like deliberately for the World Trade Center tower.
You don't think there's any way this could be any kind of an accident, no kind of a navigational equipment failure or some sort of a navigational quirk by beacons or whatever?
No, you've got incredibly good visibility at this point, and no pilot is going to be relying on navigational equipment in such a circumstance that would cause them to crash into the World Trade Center.
We are now given word that all 3 area airports are closed. So no activity whatsoever at LaGuardia, at Kennedy, or at Newark airports. Also, there is no subway service right now on the 1, 2, 3, 9, N, and R lines. So there is no subway service in and around the World Trade Center, and all 3 airports have closed.
Jim, let me interrupt for just 1 second. I'm looking at a report that the FBI is investigating reports of a plane hijacking. Did you have any news of that?
No, we don't.
No confirmation of that whatsoever?
We have no confirmation
Is anybody
of
even
that.
there discussing that?
No, the only discussion that's been going on here, Brian, is that the World Trade Center has obvious symbolic value. It's been a target before of terrorism, and frankly, it would not surprise the FBI or anyone in national security if it was a target again.
I'm just looking at the wire service at this point, and it tells us that the FBI is investigating reports of a plane hijacking before the World Trade Center crashes. Now, that's all they're telling us. We know nothing more than that.
We're trying to be responsible with what we bring you here, but the reports of a hijacking of a plane coming into the FBI, a hijacking of a plane shortly before this incident took place. Now, you can imagine if a couple of trained pilots, and this would not be beyond the reach of many terrorist organizations around the world, a couple of trained pilots were to take control of one of these sophisticated jetliners. Once they're in the air, folks, they are easy to fly. And you disengage the autopilot, you can take that plane anywhere you want to go.
Breaking news on WCBS 880, right here, right now.
We are just getting word that air traffic has been stopped cold throughout the tri-state area. Let's go to Chopper 880. Tom Kaminsky, what can you tell us?
Well, Jeff, what we can tell you now that we've just gotten some fuel and we're getting back in the air, and I could tell you that the operations, flight operations at Newark and Kennedy and LaGuardia airports have been suspended, and we are just getting word now that operations at Teterboro Airport have been closed. So we were on our way out of Teterboro Airport, and we were told to go back.
We're reminded here that the U.S. officials, according to Pentagon sources, have no warnings today of any kind of terrorist attack. And if you listen to the news on a regular basis, you hear the Pentagon warning Americans worldwide of some impending terrorist attack. And here we are in the height of commercial America with no warning whatsoever, no intelligence whatsoever, as far as we can tell, at least in these first couple of hours.
Jane, this is enormous. Right now, all your Hudson River crossings closed. No one moving in or out of town at the Lincoln, the Holland, or the GW Bridge. I'm looking at the inbound Lincoln live from my vantage point right now. They're starting to turn buses around. I've not seen anything like this before. All bridges and tunnels, you're going to find closures. No one allowed in or out of the city right now from what we're hearing.
We've had communications difficulties, I'll say once again, because part of our communications setup is on the top of that World Trade Center building, and that was knocked out shortly after the first plane crashed into the first building.
I couldn't conjure up a story like this. I couldn't. If I wrote a script like this with 2 planes, I believe there were 2, go into the Trade Center on a clear day like this, somebody laugh at me and say this is beyond bizarre. So one thinks only that this could be the most horrifically planned incident, in the annals of terrorism against the United States. Think about it. I mean, you look outside the Fox studios, look how clear it is. I mean, how could you miss the trade towers? I mean, not just 1, but 2 planes?
Here's the president now in Florida. I wonder if everybody knows there what's going on. We'll listen to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I unfortunately will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary of Rod Page and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium and discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
Jim Gartenberg joins us. He was on the 86th floor of, I'm not sure which tower. Was it the north or south, Jim?
It's the World Trade Center 1, and it's not was. I am here, and I'm stuck right now.
Now, are you above, Jim, or below?
I have no idea. I have no idea where the plane hit. It's my understanding that it's a plane.
Jim, there are two planes. One went into one tower. One went into the other tower. What do you see around you? I mean, are you in smoke? Are you in fire? I mean,
the first thing that I want to make clear is that I'm stuck on the 86th floor. A fire door has trapped us. Debris has fallen around us, and part of the core of the building is blown out.
How many people are with you, Jim?
I'm with one other person, and I'm told that people are aware of this. I'm on the 86th floor on the east side of the building facing the East River.
And what time did you get...
If I'm on the air, I want to tell anybody that has a family member that may be in the building that the situation is under control for the moment, and the danger has not increased. So please, all family members, take it easy.
Jim, one of our producers, too, if you'd call NYPD and let them know exactly where Jim and that other person is trying to 86th floor.
86th floor on the east side of the building facing the river.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
There are two of us here.
Okay, Jim, we'll try to try to make sure that we can alert everybody, and also it's good that you did mention that families should, to some extent, to have some calm right now. What time did you get to work?
I got to work around 8 o'clock this morning, and I think this happened around 8:45.
It did. Describe what you felt.
I felt just the whole building. I heard a noise, felt the whole building shake, and saw glass blown out. The glass on my floor was blown out from the inside of the building out, rather than the exterior windows being blown out.
And what
glass fully shattered, and just the core of the building, the interior core of part of the building collapsed.
Larry, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Jim Miklashevsky has some new information at the Pentagon. I hope you'll stand by and continue to talk with us. Mick?
Katie, I don't want to alarm anybody right now, but apparently it felt just a few moments ago like there was an explosion of some kind here at the Pentagon. We're on the E-ring of the Pentagon. We have a window that faces out toward the Potomac, toward the Kennedy Center. We haven't been able to see or hear anything after the initial blast. I just stepped out in the hallway. Security guards were herding people out of the building, and I saw just a moment ago as I looked outside, a number of construction workers who have been working here have taken flight. They're running as far away from the building as they can right now.
Let's go to the White House. Claire Shipman is on the phone. Claire, what's that we're looking at?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. All we know is it's a gigantic plume of smoke coming from behind the old executive office building, and we're told that the White House itself, the West Wing, at the very least is being evacuated, that our personnel from there are being asked to leave. We've sent people running over there to try to find out what it is, but we don't know yet. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
I don't want to incite any undue panic, but there is a report only, of another aircraft that has crashed on Interstate 395, one of the main routes in Washington, D.C. Now, that is only a report at this point, but given the pictures you're seeing on your screen right now, anything is possible. David Asman is joining us from Fox Central. David, what do you have?
John, we are hearing right now of another explosion that has taken place at the Pentagon. We have the heart of the financial district of America being attacked. Now we understand that there is an explosion, there has been an explosion in the Pentagon, the heart of the military command center of the United States of America, John. It can't get much worse than this, let's hope.
The building is currently being evacuated, and police and emergency units are, of course, responding from all around the building and from the local Arlington County Fire Department. The plume of smoke is enormous. It's a couple of 100 yards across. At its base, it is billowing into the sky, hundreds of yards. It's impossible for me to say from this side of the building whether the building itself is on fire or up in flames, or exactly what caused this. I did not hear an explosion, but there is certainly a very, very significant fire in this enormous office building on the west front.
We are breaking into the special live coverage of what's happening at the World Trade Center in New York to tell you about something going on right here at the Pentagon. You are looking at both pictures. The smoke that you see on the left-hand side of your screen is right here in the Washington area at the Pentagon.
Looks like the helipad area of the Pentagon over towards 395.
Again, we don't know exactly what happened here at the Pentagon, but you can see the result of whatever it was near the area of the heliport is lots of billowing smoke, dark smoke, and workers reported hearing something and then feeling the area rumble.
We're looking at live pictures of the Pentagon where there is billowing smoke. Jim Miklashevsky just reported that he heard an explosion, and right now we're looking at an aerial view of the Pentagon. Mick, can you talk to us?
Officially, nobody knows exactly what happened. I think the picture is pretty clear. According to one U.S. Army officer who went running past me at a full trot, he said that it appears that a bomb was detonated at the heliport.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital. You are looking at a scene of apparent blast aftermath. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon.
We are hearing, again, unconfirmed reports that this was the result of a plane crashing in the area as well.
Chris, let me interrupt you for a second. Just hang on. Don't go anywhere. We're getting reports now that the White House is being evacuated as well. We don't know precisely what has caused that decision to be made. Whether that is precautionary, whether something has happened at the White House. Again, the president is in Florida this morning, so the president is not in any danger, but the White House, of course, is fully operational, whether the president is there or not, and we have reports that the White House is being evacuated.
We're looking at the White House, Mick, because we are learning that there have been some evacuations from the White House. I'm assuming that everyone is being evacuated from the Pentagon?
Well, nobody's given us the official word yet, but I think that's probably a safe bet. Thank goodness that was a helicopter that just flew by. I'm just a little nervous right now when you hear aircraft go past.
We're hearing that the Associated Press is quoting witnesses as saying it was an aircraft that crashed into the Pentagon. And that is what we're looking at right now. Our Gannett cam looking at this huge billowing dark smoke.
It has happened again. Another large airliner, perhaps hijacked, perhaps part of some widespread plan, apparently slamming into at least the area around the Pentagon.
We have this as a major development. The Federal Aviation Administration has shut down all air traffic nationwide. This country has been immobilized by these terrorist attacks in terms of air travel today, and we don't know where it goes from here.
All of the airports across the country have been shut down. We started with Zone New York, which includes Islip, Newark, JFK, LaGuardia, all the way down to Philadelphia, and then IAH, Houston, and then San Francisco, and then LA. They were just falling like a deck of cards, and then all of a sudden the FAA just said, we're shutting down everything.
We now understand that the Federal Aviation Administration is shutting down all airline takeoffs nationwide. All airliners nationwide there will be no more takeoffs, and I imagine that the planes that are in the air right now are going to be diverted to the closest airport as soon as possible, because in a situation like this, the authorities don't know where the next one might come from.
We're trying to diffuse through the information that's coming into the newsroom. Some of it you've already reported, but essentially the government officials are trying to go into defensive mode now until they figure out exactly what's happening. And as Jim Dolan explained, they are trying to limit the vulnerability of other places. The Hudson River crossings have been closed, and that, as you can imagine, is creating a bit of commuter chaos. This is a live picture now from the GW Bridge. New Jersey officials say they've gone into an alert mode. They're shutting these down, all of the Hudson River crossings as well. You've already mentioned the airports, not only here in New York City, but across the entire country right now. The FAA announced just a short time ago, again, until they can sort through exactly where the vulnerability is and what's going on, all airports are shut down. All subways, especially going into, I should say, subways going into the World Trade Center area, obviously not doing that. Schools in the World Trade Center area right now have been evacuated, but as of right now, the Board of Ed has not made a decision on any other schools. All New York City firefighters have been asked to report to duty.
It is virtually impossible to get up into this city right now. The bridges, the subways, the tunnels, everything is shut down. There are major traffic jams from people who were trying to leave or trying to get in. Obviously, it is a good day to stay put wherever you are. Obviously, the airports here are all closed. Right. The stock exchange has been closed.
Closed down. And, you know, not that in the big picture, this is really not that important at this moment, but you have to wonder if maybe the primary election will be possibly be suspended because of this.
Well, people can't get their polling places.
You're absolutely right.
And you know, and I'm sure that's something that they will sort out later.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure not a single one of these candidates is worrying about that at this moment.
No.
They want to make sure that everybody is locked down for the time being to make sure everything is safe. Obviously, the tunnels, again, we keep talking about the symbolism, but the subway tunnels, again, another symbol of New York. And they want to make sure all of those are safe.
U.S. intelligence sources are confirming the reports that one of the planes was a hijacked flight, an American flight from Boston to Los Angeles. They are also now looking into what's going on at the Pentagon. They don't have any details, but they have now put government buildings around the city of Washington on a heightened state of alert.
I would hope that at one point, at least we discover from the terrorists what their grievance is, because you can't have enough FBIs and enough police and enough National Guards to defend yourself against these attacks. It's impossible. What you have to do is deter the hate, deter the provocation, find out what the cause is, and attempt to deal with that.
We're getting a report from Associated Press now that the White House was evacuated after the Secret Service received what AP is describing as a credible, a credible threat of a terrorist attack against the White House itself.
The World Trade Center, both towers were hit by planes. In Washington, a terrorist alert because the Pentagon was hit by a plane, and there's a fire on the Washington Mall. And LA has a tactical alert where they are beginning to evacuate buildings. And then there is also another decision by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. No planes are going to be allowed to take off from any airport in this entire country. All planes, no planes will be taking off today. They have made a decision to stop all air traffic control, all air traffic.
Marcia, we got to interrupt you. We just saw live from Chopper 2 yet another explosion. Did anybody, Janine, what did you see? You saw, was it an airplane or was it a...
It looked like part of the building, if not most of the top, collapsed, and all the debris from the building was falling down towards the ground.
Look at the smoke. Look at the smoke. This is
the whole building. Did it collapse?
Do we have Jim Smith available on microphone from Chopper 2 as he takes these pictures? Jim?
Yes, I am here, Michael.
Jim, tell us what's happening out there.
Oh my
We just witnessed some kind of secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center #2, the one that is on the south, that is difficult to make out through the debris and smoke, but it does appear that a portion, the top portion of the building, has collapsed down to the streets below.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable what we have seen here, the debris and smoke just covering the entire portion of lower Manhattan.
Oh my gosh.
Jim, we know this is terribly difficult for everybody. We're asking that you please stay with us, hold your shot, stay with us on audio. We should tell people our crews have been running from that scene, as have everybody, and the entire area has been under an evacuation for some time. And just moments ago, you saw it here live from Chopper 2, a horrific scene as one of the towers there appears to have collapsed.
The FBI Special Operations Center is now in full alert. The FBI extremely concerned that there would be additional attacks. Normally when you have a situation like this, they immediately get on the line with the CIA, the various intelligence agencies, trying to get a sense of who might have been planning something. But right now, the first order of business is to protect against a second attack, third attack. The feeling is normally when you have this kind of situation, there will be more attacks almost immediately.
Let's go to the trade tower again, because, John, we now have what do we have? We don't...
It looks like a new plume, a new large plume of smoke.
Now, it may be that something fell off the building. It may be that something has fallen. We don't know, to be perfectly honest. But that is what you're looking at, is the current. That's the scene at this moment at the World Trade Center. Dan Daler from ABC's Good Morning America is down in the general vicinity. Dan, can you tell us what has just happened?
Yes, Peter, it's Don Daler down here. I'm 4 blocks north of the World Trade Center. The second building that was hit by the plane has just completely collapsed. The entire building has just collapsed, as if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down on itself, and it is not there anymore.
That should be it.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Completely collapsed.
The whole side has collapsed?
The whole building has collapsed.
The whole building has collapsed?
The building has collapsed.
That's the southern tower you're talking about.
Exactly. The second building that we witnessed the airplane enter had been, the top half had been fully involved in flame. It just collapsed. There is panic on the streets. Thousands of people running up Church Street, which is what I'm looking out on, trying to get away. But the entire, at least as far as I can see, the top half of the building, at least half of it, I can't see below that, half of it just started with a gigantic rumble, folded in on itself, and collapsed in a huge plume of smoke and dust.
We're talking about massive casualties here at the moment, and we have, that is extraordinary.
Have you had a sense over the past hour, because from what I'm seeing, there's as much smoke as there was an hour ago, that they have not made much of a dent in this fire. I don't even know how much fire equipment they've been able to move up onto those upper floors.
It's just coming down, Pat. It is just coming down.
Watch the right
it's
side.
Exploding.
The building is ripping apart.
It is billowing. Pat, the debris is flying. I'm going to run.
Okay. All right. We hope that Kristen was not in a position where she would have been injured by that. But the tower is literally crumbling into the streets of Manhattan there, and
blocks.
I don't know. Don't know how much debris is falling or where that debris has fallen, and we'll attempt to reestablish our contact with Kristen, but that tower's not there anymore.
We also ought to remind everyone, once again, the FAA has banned all takeoffs at all airports across America. This country, in terms of air travel, has been immobilized. A good portion of the nation's capital, the most powerful center in the world, has been immobilized as well as a result of these terrorist
And that's
attacks.
a very haunting description that Bob Kerr just gave of that low-flying aircraft near the White House, and one can only wonder if that was something that ultimately ended up in the Pentagon.
We just saw a live picture of what seemed to be a portion of the building falling away from the World Trade Center. If we can re-rack that to about 20 seconds ago, you'll see something dramatic happening, and I don't know whether it's another explosion or a portion of the building falling away, but something major just happened at that building. Here we go to the tape.
We have the tape.
And watch what happens in the left-hand tower. I don't know if this is the correct tape. There, something there is about to happen, falling away right there.
Yeah, it looks like a big chunk of it has just peeled away.
One can only hope that the area has been evacuated, but of course you wonder about all the emergency vehicles and the people who might have been injured early in the morning.
It's a corridor where a lot of Army offices are located.
Wow.
And some people were...
Jamie, I need you to stop for a second. There has just been a huge explosion. We can see a billowing smoke rising, and I'll tell you that I can't see that second tower but there was a cascade of sparks and fire, and now it looks almost like a mushroom cloud explosion, this huge billowing smoke in the second tower. This was the second of the two towers hit. And I cannot see behind that smoke, obviously, as you can either. The first tower in front has not changed, and we see this extraordinarily and frightening scene behind us of this second tower, now just encased in smoke. What is behind it, I cannot tell you. But just look at that. That is about as frightening a scene as you will ever see.
Hopefully it will not progress from here, but one never assumed that we would see what we're seeing now. So we have no idea really what might happen next.
And if we can aid those who are trying to get control of this situation, if you're at home and if you're watching this, if you can stay at home, please do.
We are, okay, you're looking at another explosion right here. This is another explosion.
Part of the tower coming down?
Part of the Twin Tower, obviously folding.
Coming crashing down. We're watching a live.
It is right.
We're watching a live picture of this. What?
It's live. You're looking at this live. You're looking at another explosion right in the same area. Oh, another explosion.
It's
that
hard
is
to
a
tell.
live picture right now. We don't know exactly what has exploded.
It looks like a building
part
collapse.
of the building collapsed.
But it's unclear right now, Lynn, if that is the second tower.
No,
is that
the second? Both towers are standing. This is another building in the area.
It's unclear right now if both towers are standing right now because of the smoke.
The second the first tower has collapsed. That's what happened.
The first tower has
there
collapsed.
There you have it. Unbelievable. Who would have ever thought we would have witnessed something like this? And the pictures speak for themselves.
Oh, you are looking at a live shot of downtown.
You are looking at devastation of downtown New York.
Now, you mentioned that you saw people on the road outside of the building. Explain that scene.
I saw there's maybe about 30 or 40 people covered with bandages and blood. It looks like a lot of them were either on the floor of one of the exchanges. There's actually, oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
We're not sure exactly what happened, but it was another explosion on the far side of one of the buildings from where we're standing. The reverberation and another explosion on the right-hand side. Another building has gone up on the right-hand side of the road. People are now running down the street. We're not sure if that was another explosion or if that was advanced debris. Joining me also is Jim Plant. Jim, you're also a witness of what happened. Tell me exactly what you saw from your vantage point across the street.
I was just across Liberty and West here, and I saw the second plane hit the Tower 2. Looked like a 737. It hit a glancing blow. It didn't hit it direct. I don't know where the rest of the plane went, but it went in, fireball came out, and it hit lower than the first plane, which hit the upper floors.
Jim, thank you very much. At this point, as you can tell, there's absolute pandemonium in this area because of what had just happened. Exactly what, I can't confirm, but on the far side of the building, there seemed to be another explosion, and also on the right-hand side, there was also another explosion. We're not sure if that was extra reverberation from what happened at the World Trade Center, or if that was an added explosion. At this point, there's a lot of smoke, massive plumes of smoke falling from the building across the street. People that were running down the street or walking are now running away. We don't have any information as far as what the most recent reverberations were, but from 2 blocks away, you could feel what happened.
I arrived on the scene about an hour and a half ago, and believe it or not, there was another major explosion. The building itself, literally the top of it, came down, sending smoke and debris everywhere. I had to do all I could to run to get away from all the debris. Me and a number of other people here are trapped in the subway here in a shoe store, actually trying to get away from most of the debris. It's just an incredible sight. They had a lot of emergency workers around the building, and of course everybody's hoping that these people were able to get out of there without being injured. But it is a surreal and devastating scene over here, something like I've never seen before.
Harold, exactly where are you in filing this report?
Dan, I'm at a subway station. I just ran down the stairs. I didn't even look at it. It's right around the corner from the World Trade Center, and I'm kind of waiting for that smoke and debris to blow away to go back upstairs. But it's just an unbelievable situation here.
Have you seen any indication that would tend to confirm these reports, which have been growing in intensity, that a section of the World Trade Center has collapsed onto the street below. Do you see any confirmation of that in any direction?
That is true, Dan. That's what we were all running from. We heard the building coming down, and that's what we were running from. Literally, people ran out of their shoes trying to get out of the way of this thing.
John, the scene is horrific. One of the two towers literally collapsed. I was making my way to the foot of the World Trade Center. Suddenly, while talking to an officer who was questioning me about my press credentials, we heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse before us. There was debris falling, I'd say at least 3/4 the height of the building. People within the entire perimeter began literally, including myself, which is why I'm out of breath, to run for our lives. And I am now standing in a black cloud of smoke left over from the debris. There's soot. It's difficult to breathe. People ran into nearby office buildings once they got out of the danger zone just to be able to breathe. I'm on a payphone on the street right now, and I literally cannot see more than a quarter block away. That's how thick the smoke is. I'm on Murray Street and West Broadway, for those who know Lower Manhattan. Not clear now is why this explosion took place. Was it because of the planes that two planes dual attacked this morning, or was there some other attack which there has been talk of here on the street?
And this is the collapse. We're showing you, this is the collapse, ladies and gentlemen, on videotape. The collapse that just happened. Unbelievable.
Let's go to Marcia Kramer now in the newsroom as she watches what you're seeing at home right now. Marcia?
Well, the real concern right now for New York City emergency rescue squads is to get people on the ground away from that scene as soon as possible. If you live in the area, if you live in Battery Park City or any of the other housing developments in that area, you should leave the area. You should evacuate the area and get away from the scene.
Let's go back to a few seconds ago. This is now about an hour after the first impact. We saw some dramatic footage of a portion of one of the twin towers, actually it appearing to fall away from the rest of the building. Can we go to the tape now? Here we go, right here. This is, I mean, when you look at it, the building has collapsed. That tower just came down.
We do not know why the second tower collapsed, whether it was, as the expert was talking to you and Steve and Jim, Lori, whether because the core of the building was damaged or whether because of some other kind of detonating device. We just do not know.
I have a clear view of everything. Just 2 seconds ago, half of the building just fell out. There's nothing but white smoke. I can no longer see the World Trade Center now. It's all up in smoke. The smoke is on my terrace. That's how close I am. My mom is coughing because the smoke is on my terrace.
And you're across the bay in Brooklyn.
I'm across the bay in Brooklyn. I can see everything. We're in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. This is the scariest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like television.
Everything just all of a sudden just imploded. I ran as fast as I could, went inside of a building about a block away. I stood in the building for a couple of seconds, and then all of a sudden the building started filling up with smoke. I was with a bunch of law enforcement officers. We couldn't get out of the building because everything was locked up. And then I came out, and everything was filled with ash, and it looks like I'm in a surreal movie.
We're on the West Side Highway, and I am sad to report that we actually watched the entire South Tower of the World Trade Center come down, screams from everyone on the sidewalks as they thought that perhaps another plane had slammed into the side of these buildings. We're hearing late reports that there might be fighters, U.S. fighters in the air, patrolling the area, of course the bridges and the tunnels. That's a confirmation. There's one right above me. Bridges and tunnels have been shut down. The only way to leave the city at this point is on foot, and everyone from the World Trade Center area has been moving through here. I can only hope that people got out of that area. We're pointing up to show the fighters right now. I can only hope that people got out of the area on the sidewalks below the South Tower before it came tumbling down. But it literally exploded and came down as though it had been hit. Plumes of smoke moving out into the harbor. Can we see how many fighters there are up there?
There's one fighter.
One fighter. As far as we know, there is nothing left of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. There were reports elevators weren't working. Obviously no way to get out of the building aside from the
stairway.
The entire area of lower Manhattan right now is completely engulfed in a big black cloud of smoke. Now, we did have some people down there that were shooting some tape for us. They said that the entire area is completely engulfed in smoke right now. It's very, very difficult to see at this point. And right now, our concerns in terms of what we're doing up here is that the area, as we understand it, has been sealed off. The airspace has been sealed off. So they are not allowing people to come in and out of the airspace at this point. We are able to stay here right now, but no commercial traffic is being allowed to exit or enter the airspace right now.
What's going through your mind when you see this happen?
You see bodies flying out of the sky and you can't do nothing about it. You tell me. You tell me what you think. I mean, my heart's in my mouth. I mean, I pray for these people. There's no words to describe what's going on out there. I mean, you see bodies just coming a half hour later, still coming out of the goddamn sky. It's devastating. Devastating. I can't imagine anything worse than this.
We have reporters on the ground. Let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, there are times in our lives that are life-changing, where your life can never be the same, and this appears certainly to be one of them. When that second tower went down, we have reporters on the scene. Other media have reporters on the scene. There are thousands of workers down there. We do not know their status. We do not want to scare anyone, but we are, in fact, trying to ascertain the safety.
It goes without saying this is the most serious attack in the United States in more than 100 years. Not since the War of 1812, and certainly the damage that we did to ourselves during the Civil War has this country suffered this kind of damage within its interior. Obviously, Pearl Harbor, which triggered World War II, was a horrific event as well, but there has never been an event to match the magnitude of this one, in which everything has been shut down in terms of air traffic. The national capital has been immobilized. The White House, State Department, Pentagon has been attacked. The financial markets have been shut down. There's an untold loss of life here in Manhattan, the nerve center of America, to say nothing of what's going on at the Pentagon.
When's the last time? I mean, this is a shot of New York City and downtown Manhattan that many people can't remember.
It looks
the
like
shot of one tower.
It looks like a movie, frankly,
Right, yeah.
that this is unfolding, and it combines the horror of the TWA Flight 800 bombing and the Murrah Federal Building.
This is the Pentagon we're looking at now, according to my monitor. And again, it is hard to grasp what part of the building. We do not know if they're in the courtyard or outside, but you can see that a fairly considerable amount of damage has been done. We do not know whether these are offices or storage areas. The Pentagon is full of many thousands of people every day. The Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, has been saying only yesterday and today that he wants to reduce the bloatedness, as he put it, as he alluded to it in the military and the bureaucracy. But this is the great home of the military bureaucratic establishment.
New York City schools, we've just been told, are in lockdown. New York City schools are in lockdown, meaning, of course, that no child is going out anywhere. They're going to be remaining safe inside their schools. No doubt they have emergency plans in place, and they are implementing them right now.
One of the landmark buildings in this city, one of the most recognizable buildings in the country, is gone.
It's the kind of moment you hope will never come. When you have been in government, when you care as much about this city and this country as a mayor like Rudy Giuliani does, it's a moment you pray will never come, and you pray for the families of anyone affected by this tragedy. But as a city, you know, we come together, and our emergency services provide every support they can in the face of such a senseless tragedy.
It is an unbelievable scene as you...
Incredible.
Seemingly at this point quite certain. He pledges the government's full support, as would be obvious, for the victims and their families, as well as a full-scale investigation to hunt down those responsible. Let's go back to Cindy Hsu in the newsroom, who's joining us now with another update. Cindy?
Wait a second. Is this a live picture? This is a live picture. We are seeing the second World Trade Tower Center. World Trade Center Tower number 1 has just collapsed, ladies and gentlemen. You see it live in our picture. One World Trade Center has just collapsed. That means both World Trade Center buildings have collapsed.
If Jim Smith is with us still in Chopper 2, Jimmy, you there?
What?
Michael, we just saw that as well. The second tower, the only one that was standing, tower number 1, just we saw some kind of explosion, a lot of smoke come out of the top of the tower, and then it collapsed down onto the streets below. much like we saw the first tower just about a half hour ago.
Gosh, this is an unbelievable, it's incredible, incredulous.
Truly, as you're looking at the at what there is of the Manhattan skyline at this point, the two most prominent landmarks, the World Trade Centers, now reduced to a pile of rubble and ash, smoke billowing above the city. Jim Smith, stay with us if you will. What is the evaluation and what else you're able to see from your vantage point?
Well, Michael, we have seen the entire lower half of Manhattan just completely covered in smoke, debris, dust, everything well south of Canal Street is just completely and covered in this smoke and dust at this time. There is not anything recognizable of what were the two trade towers, nothing standing out from those clouds of dust at this time.
My goodness.
We simply do not know who has been hurt and what casualties might have occurred, which is the information that we are. I want you to take a look at what's happening right now. That is a live picture.
That's a live picture too. That's World Trade Center 2 has just collapsed. That's the second of the towers to collapse.
We are now looking at the collapse of the second of the World Trade Center towers. Again, this is something that we never dreamed we would witness in our lifetime. Let us tell you that to come into this city right now, you will not be able to. The bridges, the tunnels shut down, subway lines, trains pretty much closed. The New York Stock Exchange.
Just a moment ago, the entire top of the building collapsed. You can see a massive plume of smoke. People are running away from the area. There are firefighters and there are police trying to evacuate the area as quickly as possible. People who are near the area are in an absolute frenzied situation. The entire top of the building just collapsed. You can see the plume of smoke is coming in our direction. Let's get out of here, Ralph. We're going to leave because the smoke is coming right at us.
Obviously, this is a devastating
They're
moment
gone.
in our history.
They're gone. The World Trade Center is no more.
We do not know at this point the extent of injuries or casualties, how many people were in these buildings trying to get out. We've seen some gut-wrenching descriptions, witness accounts of people hanging out of windows, jumping, trying to get to safety.
What has happened? 2 attacks. There have been in Manhattan, one plane colliding with one twin tower. 18 minutes later, oh my God. Oh my God. If you can imagine the situation could get any worse, you've just seen it get worse. That was the second tower of the World Trade Center collapsing before our eyes. The second tower collapsing as rescue officials were trying to evacuate the building, trying to put the fire out that after a plane had collided there shortly before 9 o'clock this morning.
Of course, the airports are closed. PATH commuter trains canceled. New Jersey Transit right now continuing to operate trains into New York's Penn Station, but we're told there's no bus service to the Port Authority. New Jersey State Police have their emergency command center up and running. Right now, city and federal buildings in Newark still open, though, again, heavily fortified. That's the latest now. We're going to continue to monitor these developments, particularly with the schools closing.
The other tower, as you can see, seems to be collapsing, David, as we watch.
Unbelievable.
This is, it's collapsing inward and it's imploding. This is a horrific situation you're watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a child watching and you do not have a parent there, I don't know what to advise you. If you can understand this.
It's hard for an adult to understand.
Words cannot describe this. The North Tower of the World Trade Center, the second 110-foot structure that marks the landmark, it is a landmark of New York and Manhattan, and indeed the United States, has just collapsed.
And if you look at the timeline in which all of this has taken place in such a short period of time, 8:45 until now at 10:29.
Nina Pineda, can you hear us? Are you on the line at all, Nina? Nina is just a few blocks from there. And we do not have her amidst the chaos. We have not heard from Joe Torres. This is just so tragic that it's sort of
almost
ridiculous
just
to say, to try to talk through this. It
Right.
is so horrific.
Clearly, we have a large disaster on our hands, but and I think the officials simply don't want a larger disaster to be at risk. So that's why so many precautions have been taken. The planes are shut down nationwide by the FAA. New Jersey State Police.
There it goes. The other World Trade Center tower is collapsing. Watch your screen there.
10:28 now. The second World Trade Center, two World Trade Center is disintegrating.
Now the second tower has collapsed. The first collapsing.
This is one World Trade Center now.
That's correct. That's correct. Two World Trade Center collapsed at about 9:55, and now that picture. It was difficult to tell with so much smoke, but 110 stories tall, two towers built in 1973, and they have now both come down after this terrorist
And we
attack.
can only imagine the magnitude of this force when you consider how large the bomb was in 1993 that did structural damage only to really the foundation, did not shake the structural integrity of the building.
So what I'm asking again is, how did this slip by? I mean, we can say, 20/20 hindsight, but this was obviously a synchronized planned attack on two states.
But are they watching the people in this country or the people in other countries?
Oh my goodness, look at the screen.
Goodness.
Oh my God.
Oh. Both towers down.
Oh my God.
I hope they evacuated everybody out of that area, because
covered in smoke.
In the world's history, the smoke and debris from this collapse undoubtedly causing yet more mayhem, more death, more destruction.
You're hearing unedited live sounds from the scene of that crash. But the collapse of the tallest building in New York.
one of the great symbols of New York, if not this country, if not the world, forever erased from our memory.
No, I think it will always be in our memory, that's for sure, but definitely erased from our skies. This is just unbelievable.
A live picture from Chapter 5 showing the collapse of the World Trade Center.
What do we do now? Mr. Jaffe, but what do we do now? You said I shouldn't be angry, maybe I shouldn't, but I am very, very angry by this, and we shouldn't let it shut us down.
No.
But this is a tremendous impact on our lives. Where do we go from here? What should we do? How do we respond?
That there have been attacks in 2 American cities, New York and in Washington. The trade centers here in New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there's, you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord. There are no words. You can see large pieces of the building falling. You can see the smoke rising. You can see a portion of the side of the building now just being covered on the right side as I look at it, covered in smoke. This is just a horrific scene and a horrific moment.
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
As you basically informed some people what happened, assuming some people had no idea what was happening, what kinds of reactions are you getting from people?
Oh,
there
look
goes
at this.
the second tower.
You're going to the second tower. You're looking at this live right now. Okay. Both towers now completely destroyed of the World Trade Center. You have no idea how many people may have been in those buildings. We have no idea. This is a major communication center for this city, for this country. Many government offices in those towers. Amazing video as you're watching it now. It's not video, it's live. It's right before your very eyes.
The World Trade Center is gone, ladies and gentlemen.
You can see the chaos.
We can see the top of the building from here. Oh, yeah. Oh, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes.
Oh, when it comes downward. All right. We do need to put it down now. I think we need to put it down now. Here we go.
America, offer a prayer. According to American Airlines is confirming that its Flight 11 from Boston to Los Angeles was hijacked today, and that its plane was the first one involved in this attack on the World Trade Center.
These are pictures from just moments ago. Earlier, one World Trade Center collapsed. Now you can see the collapse of the second tower. It is almost incomprehensible to believe that these two 110-story towers, there you see it, just collapsing into the ground, are no longer part of the skyline of Manhattan. And there were huge numbers of emergency workers who were rushing to the scene to deal with the injured in that area.
Here we're looking at video now We're going to rejoin NBC coverage now. You can see it start to collapse.
That's a videotape replay.
Forgive me, but this is a circumstance which is very, very difficult to describe in many ways without sounding melodramatic. Certainly in more than 20 years of covering horrific events, this is something that I've never seen before. As we say, the emergency workers now beginning to try to gather themselves. Over there you can see a police emergency service unit. They're trying basically now to reestablish some kind of a safe perimeter. And many of the emergency workers basically just happy to be alive. Certainly that picture tells it all. Many of them just happy to be alive at this point, having survived what is an extraordinary event, the collapse of two towers.
There's an unconfirmed report of a car bomb at the State Department. We have not been able to pin that down. There is also, Jim Miklashevsky was told that there was an unconfirmed report of another air hijacking. We share this with you not in an attempt to in any way exacerbate what is already a terrible situation, but so much has come true today based on these early reports that we want you to have as much information as we can possibly get. At the Pentagon, all people outside were told to take cover just moments ago, but Jim Miklashevsky said the skies were clear.
There was an unconfirmed report of another hijacking with a plane headed towards Washington. Again, we don't want to sound alarmist, but that is something that Mick heard.
Well, I wanted to tell you, John, that I'm in front of the Capitol, and a moment ago, police officers ran up to us and ordered us off of the grounds and told us, and I quote, "There is a plane that has been hijacked. It is 20 minutes south of Washington." This was about 10 minutes ago, and is headed this way. They are taking ultimate precautions. Now, as you know, in these chaotic situations, sometimes information gets twisted. But police officers here are saying that they believe there is a hijacked plane now headed toward Washington. And that's all the information I can give you at this moment.
I was inside the White House this morning trying to gather information for you when we were told by a very nervous White House security staff that they feared a plane was headed to the White House, and we heard planes indeed overhead, and they quickly evacuated all of us out of the White House.
We are getting reports, and we are getting lots of reports, and we want to be careful to tell you when we have confirmed them and not. But we have a report that a 747 is down in Pennsylvania, and that remains unconfirmed at this point, and so we will check on that.
From the Associated Press, Dateline Pittsburgh, large plane crashes in western Pennsylvania's. They're citing officials at the Somerset County Airport who confirm it. Again, AP reporting and citing the Somerset County Airport. A large plane crashes in western Pennsylvania. That is all we have. This comes quite a time after the FAA put essentially a ground stop. All airplanes in the air were allowed to continue to their destinations, but every commercial airport in the country right now is closed. But again, the news just gets worse and worse. A large plane crashing in western Pennsylvania.
We now have an AP News alert out of Pittsburgh. Officials at Somerset County Airport are confirming the crash of a large plane just north of the airport. That's about 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. Again, officials at Somerset County Airport confirm the crash of a large plane north of that airport, which is located about 80 miles to the southeast of the city of Pittsburgh. We do not know whether that crash of that plane is related to what has become an obvious terrorist attack both here in New York City and in Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon.
Matt, we just got a late word that State Department security officials are denying those reports of a car bomb at the State Department. Betsy Stewart is at the C Street entrance and also says there's no sign of a car bomb. Betsy Stewart is one of our producers who's very familiar with the State Department.
It appears, and we had the report from our Brian Wilson in Washington not too long ago, it appears, Brian told us that that there was a report of a hijacked plane south of Washington, D.C. and headed toward the nation's capital. Now, it appears that that is the flight that went down about 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. We told you that there was a confirmation from the Somerset County Airport. Authorities are saying that that may be the plane that Brian Wilson spoke of.
All right, we just heard that the plane that we were telling you earlier about that crashed near Jenkinstown, Pennsylvania, a Boeing 767, was out of Newark Airport heading to San Francisco.
And again,
so again, Brenda, the tragic loss of life, and that was a United Airlines flight.
Right now, everyone should, other than Lower Manhattan, where people should evacuate, and the police and fire will help you, everybody else should remain calm. They should remain at work or in school. We don't want them all out there crowding things and making it difficult, because we're going to be moving people around to hospitals all over the city, and we need as much order as we possibly can get.
Marjolani, do you have any sense of the order of magnitude of injuries and deaths?
I do not, except to say that it's horrendous. I was down there and watched it and saw people jumping out of the World Trade Center. It's a horrible, horrible situation. I think right now what we have to focus on is saving as many of the people as we can save at this point and trying to bring some order to this. And then maybe later on we'll have a better sense of the magnitude of it. We have a lot of police officers, a lot of firefighters, a lot of emergency personnel that were down there. And the thing to do now is to evacuate Lower Manhattan in an orderly way. Just get above Canal Street, and then this way we'll have the space and the room for the ambulances and everyone else to operate.
These are the first pictures we have in. This is from Somerset County, Pennsylvania. This is where the United Airlines flight, I believe it is 176, went down. I'm sorry, I'm correcting. United Airlines 93. This was a Boeing 757 bound from Newark, New Jersey to San Francisco. It crashed in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, near the town of Shanksville, south of Pittsburgh. We're told about 80 miles outside of Pittsburgh in western Pennsylvania. It is not known how many passengers or crew were on board, although initial reports indicated no survivors. Again, these are the first pictures we have coming in from WTAJ there in the Pittsburgh area. United Airlines telling us earlier they had lost this flight, and they knew that it had crashed near Pittsburgh. There is a second United Airlines flight, the Boeing 767 Flight 175, bound from Boston to Los Angeles, has crashed. It is possible, but not confirmed, that this would have been the second plane to hit the World Trade Center.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. I want to reassure the American people that the full resources of the federal government are working to assist local authorities to save lives and to help the victims of these attacks. Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
And we will strive now very hard to save as many people as possible and to send a message that the city of New York and the United States of America is much stronger than any group of barbaric terrorists, that our democracy, that our rule of law, that our strength and our willingness to defend ourselves will ultimately prevail.
The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them.
It's starting to look like extraordinary heroism and selflessness played out on board United Flight 93, that perhaps passengers, knowing that they were going to eventually die, decided to storm the cockpit in hopes of thwarting terrorist plans to hit a more high-profile target. We're getting some insight into this tonight. The San Francisco Chronicle reporting tonight that a passenger named Thomas Burnett phoned his wife Dina from the doomed 757. Burnett's priest telling the paper the call went like this, with Burnett saying, quote, "I know we're all going to die, but there's 3 of us going to do something about it. I love you, honey." The call then ended. What happened next on board? Investigators hope that the jet's black boxes will provide this vital insight. Now, unlike the other terrorism targets at the Pentagon and also there in New York City, investigators here believe that the black boxes will be recovered.
We want to show you some of the president's remarks. He was handed a bullhorn down in the pit where the Trade Center towers once stood, and he addressed the workers there.
Stay down, stay down. Let me get that picture, man. Sorry,
thank you all.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul. What's a boom? Go ahead, got it.
I want you all to know it can't go any louder. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
It is my hope that in the months and years ahead, life will return almost to normal. We'll go back to our lives and routines, and that is good. Even grief recedes with time and grace. But our resolve must not pass. Each of us will remember what happened that day and to whom it happened. We'll remember the moment the news came, where we were and what we were doing. Some will remember an image of a fire or a story of rescue. Some will carry memories of a face and a voice gone forever. And I will carry this. It is the police shield of a man named George Howard, who died at the World Trade Center trying to save others. It was given to me by his mom, Arlene, as a proud memorial to her son. It is my reminder of lives that ended in a task that does not end.
Thank you.